What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to our live stream today. We're talking about uh, mindfulness and marketing and how to set goals and intentions for 2022. Um, I want to welcome everyone. Sorry, I'm just getting everything clicked up because we're live on LinkedIn and we're live on YouTube. And this is going to play again on Facebook later. It'll be playing again on YouTube a little bit later, and you guys can sign up to get all that information. But first of all, welcome. I'm happy y'all are all here. Happy New Year. It is now the 19th of January. If you did not know, if you thought 2021 was really, really fast, 2022 is also going to be fast just as well. It just takes a lot to get used to at the pace at which we feel like everything's moving. So, first things first, I want to introduce myself for those of you that don't know who I am. My name is Bart Aniston. I run a marketing agency here in Toronto, and we're going to be talking about mindfulness marketing. How do you keep balance in your life as a marketer or somebody who does marketing for their solo project, somebody who does marketing for a department for a 9 to 5 job or a corporation? How do we balance this? Because marketing is changing so fast. And it's really getting tough nowadays to find where is your position, how am I staying relevant, how much ad spend should I be doing? Is it better for me to increase my goals every single year? What should I be doing? Is more actually better? How do we get the results that we want? And I want to at least offer, my opinions in this matter, just to give you guys some context and background. We've been running a marketing agency here for about 4 years. It's going to be 4 years in May. We've seen a lot of growth in the last 12 months. We've hired some people and we've expanded the business, and while refining it. And I think you have to go deep to go wide. And I think if you try to go wide and go deep, it's a little bit too complicated. So we went deep first and then went wide. And we've been learning as we go. And if you're a fan of or been following the journey across all the different platforms that we're on, you would have heard some of our year in review content, some of our niching down content, talking about how we made some of these key decisions and what we've been learning along the way. So if you want to do that, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe, the follow, the notification bell, wherever you're watching this. Just type in Bart Aniston or Creative Partner in, and you'll start to see all of our content. Especially in relation to the business, you can listen to our podcast where we interview guests as well as offer insights about what's been going on in the business itself. We do these live once a month. So next month we're going to be doing one as well in the middle of February. We also have our Facebook page and our LinkedIn page and profile, so you can find all of our content. And actually, we even have a blog. Um, the blog has been a source of amazing content the last like 6 months. We've really refined our voice and who our audience is on this platform, and it's been really exceptional. I gotta give big props to Amanda, who's our copywriter and project manager here at Creative Partner. So, the blog that we just launched last week, or at the beginning, the first week of January, was how to achieve work balance in 2022. And we talked about more from a personal perspective, but understanding that everyone who reads this blog is usually involved in some type of marketing work. And you can achieve a less stressful life or be more work balanced by trying to mitigate or limit your stress, a better ability to be present in your everyday life, and you can try to create or increase your creativity, and that can get you higher success. And that whole last part right there, higher success, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what does it mean for our goals to be relevant to our lives, and how do we keep track, how do we not get scattered along the way with everything else that's going on. And there's a few things that you're going to want to keep in mind. Keep in mind that most marketing goals get summarized into a couple different categories. There's nothing really new under the sun. Not forever, but I think most goals, most people who are either leading a department, doing a solo project, or an agency, or whatever it may be, if you have goals in the marketing department, they usually start with like, you know, some type of brand awareness, increasing the amount of quality leads, not just random people that are where some type of growth or tenureship in thought leadership, increasing your customer value, or empowering your team, your colleagues in some way. Most goals, whether it's like social media, ad spending, whether it's agency related, corporate related, solo project, it usually goes in one of these things. Either you're trying to get more leads, get more sales, get more people who want to buy your stuff or get to know you, or get people who want to know about you, what you're doing, or get people to understand your ideas, your thoughts. And usually it's a combination of all these things that people put it together and say, here are the goals for the year. And they're not necessarily specific, but at the same time, they have this idea that maybe we can make all of these things work. And more often than not, with like most goals, is the intentionality is there, but the intentions were not set in a way that would made it practical or rudimentary, like step by step, to get people where they need to go. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. We're going to talk a little bit about, what does it look like? What does it take to do these type of things? And we'll talk a little bit about principles in general as well. So we're going to dive right in. The first thing you got to understand is what is the objection of any goal. Any goal you want to have needs to have an objection, and the objectives. I've been saying objections. Objectives are exactly what we want to focus on, because those are the more like nitty gritty, like when you actually define this is the objective of this goal. It needs to do this. It's really a fine line, because you can come into a trap. An objective can be like a double-edged sword. You can fall into a bit of a trap. One hand, you're constantly raising the bar, incentivizing the team to, grow more and more year over year. On the other hand, it can incentivize your team to prioritize your company's needs over your customers' needs. And that's, again, like, it's just a fine line. If you focus too much on just increased sales only, I think you're probably going to stress out your sales team. They need to be realistic sales goals. And if you're just doubling the number every single time, every single quarter, or every single year, your team is going to realize that you're actually not paying attention to the market itself. The market is very cyclical. There's a rhythm to it, ebbs and flows. And sometimes there is opportunity, and that's when you need to strike while everything is still prized for the taking. But there's other moments where it's like, okay, things are challenging right now. We need to adjust what our objective is for this goal, so that we can still understand and hold maybe our marketplace share, but we don't necessarily want to give up our like practical sense of what we're doing. So those are a few things already you have to consider when you're doing your objectives and your goal setting. How far do you want to push the needle? Is bigger always better? Are these the things that are most important in terms of the values of the business? Sometimes, the bottom line is not always the bottom line. Some people have moral standards. Some people have philosophies and ideas that they stand by, and they say, no, I don't actually want to pursue it to the extent that we're ravishing a forestry or fishery, resource. Or no, I don't want to push it to this extent, because I still want us to stay a very local type business or a local type organization. So you have to put your objectives towards your core values of the business. And if you don't have core values, this is a good moment to write down what are the things that are most important to you, what are the things that you care about the most, and they kind of help guide and shape. They can be like guardrails on a highway that kind of keep your goals in the right focused lane. If you don't stay within your company identity, the corporate values or ethos that you guys have corporately, you can end up in a place where your company transforms, year over year, small by small, and you can be like, I don't know why, but our brand is not resonating. It's because the tilted you away from the values. Um, and this is, again, we've had a few conversations live and dedicated YouTube videos and blog posts about your brand, finding your brand voice, developing a brand, all these things. Your brand is like everything you want your company to be synthesized into a package, whether it's identity, tone, voice, everything is articulate in the way that you want it to be. So always start with having a strong brand. If you have a brand, you're happy with your brand. I'm not talking about a logo. I'm talking about identifying the things that make you unique. Then that's where you should start. And then from there, write some core values, some of the things that are most important for you. Um, and that helps shape your decisions. And then start writing out some goals, right? And there's a few ways to write out goals. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. And I think the biggest thing you have to understand is, like, there's three parts to a goal. There's the intent, then there's the hunger, and then there is the aspirational anchor. That's what makes the goal. Okay, what's the intent? The intent is what? Want, right? Like, what want? I intend to. What do you want to actually happen? That's where you need to just try to write down, and it doesn't have to be perfect the first time you write it down. You just want to make sure that you are uh, taking the time to write down exactly in specific detail what it is you actually want. The other part of it is your hunger. Okay, why is there a need? Why are you hungry for this? And I think that also helps a lot of people identify the next steps, the practical side of developing a marketing plan, of setting for a marketing plan. And then the last part is the aspirational anchor. What is a combination of those two things that, like, where's the intersect between your intent and your hunger that fits the need, right? The intent is talking about future, and the hunger is about now. So what about now and the future regarding your intent and your hunger is that intersect, because that's exactly what we're talking about. That's the aspirational anchor, and that's what a goal technically is, right? You want it to have the what, you want it to have the why, and you want it to have why does it matter now. And if you can solve those type of things, depending on your industry, then that's going to help a lot in terms of having goals that make sense. Now, before we keep going, I want to um, make it clear that I'm trying to be as broad as possible, just because we have different industries, different marketplaces, people that are doing different types of work, but these principles are the same in any organization, in any business. And when you are designing systems and you're designing goals that need to align with your systems, it's good to, like, eliminate as much clutter as possible, and maybe, like, just get a big piece of paper, a big tabloid 11 by 17 piece of paper, and a pencil, and just, like, write stuff down and go freehand. Okay, don't try to, like, follow step by step and do. Just start writing out things, and then grab a highlighter and, like, highlight the things that match. Oh, this goes with this. Oh, and this goes with this. And then finally you start to see some things that maybe internally you have been struggling with, to say, okay, these are the things that we need to address in our business, in everything that we do. So once you have, let's say, your goals in place, this is where we have to be a little bit more organized, and you might have to flip that big piece of paper over, and and then start to look at how can you do this as a SMART goal, right? Like, what does this look like? So you need to identify the goal, which is what we talked about: your intent, your hunger, your aspirational anchor, and then you need to define the goal. And I think when you define the goal, the only and the best way to do that is using SMART goals. And I'm sure many people have seen videos on this that are more in depth, that walk you through. I'm going to keep it very brief. You can Google SMART goals, and you'll find so much content on YouTube or on Google. But basically, SMART. That's for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Um, you want to make sure that your goals are extremely clear, not vague. Okay, not so you might have an original goal, and then the next step is when you're starting to implement each one of these goals into a SMART goal. You want to make sure that it's very specific. Take your time. Don't write one word sentences or one sentence paragraphs. Write it out specifically how you want it to be. And I want to preface again with another note: the mindfulness part that we spoke about at the very beginning, of understanding what your capacity is and how you want to make all of this work together, is understanding that not everything can be fixed. Not everything can be fixed. Okay. Some things need time. Some things can in the places to make this work in an effective way. And your team is only so good, so much, and they have their work to do, their own challenges, their own goals, and your goals, and all these different things happening. So yes, we are talking about building a stack of your goals for 2022, but the part that I want people to understand is not everything is going to get fixed immediately, and you hurt yourself by putting so much effort inside of getting everything done as soon or as quick as possible. In reality, the best thing to do is to pick one or two things, maybe one thing per quarter, and make it as a target. And this is where this is why I brought this up, because when you're talking about having something specific, don't make it so easy for it to like grow into multiple areas. I mean, really specify the goal, clear outlines. If you need to, what exactly are you hoping to improve? So don't just say more leads. Let's talk about that. Where are these leads coming from? How many more leads? This is what SMART goals do, right? They force you to slow down and to put all the variables in place. So at the very beginning, specific, making sure it's clear on what the intention is, right? The want. Um, Next, measurable. Making your goal measurable, attaching, what metrics or key values are going to be attached to this. Extremely important. And then making sure it's attainable, right? How are you going to do this realistically? And this is where a lot of people, myself included, get caught up. You get caught up in the, oh shoot, I wanted to get this done, but I didn't give myself the opportunity to put my best foot forward. How are you going to limit all of the jumble that happens in your brain if you keep adding and piling on more goals, and these goals are increasingly more complex, and you're not giving yourself the benefit of having appropriate time or appropriate means to do so? Maybe somebody on your team needs to go for training for a specific thing so that you don't waste time and you can do it properly. Maybe you need to block off something on your calendar and be, accountable to that, and making sure that, okay, we are going to complete all of our financial reports monthly on this time and at this date. This is how you're going to actually get stuff done without stressing out yourself. I can't tell you enough how much I love Asana. I think everybody should have some type of to-do list, project management tool, something. We're not meant to carry this much water. And I feel like we're often carrying a lot of water. So making sure that everything is following the steps of a SMART goal is going to help you get the results that you're looking for. The last one is I know relevant is there as well. Ensuring that your goal is relevant involves answering the question why you're setting this goal you're setting, right? It also goes back to the intent and understanding what your core values are, and understanding like, okay, this aligns with our mission and with who we are, and now it makes sense to have this goal and it's relevant to us because of this. Identifying that is really important, and people often skimp on this one, and they skimp on it because they don't have big enough. And if you were a bigger organization or a company and you had maybe 10 people working there, the relevant is what gets people to hold on to it. Ah, it's not that he wants us to keep our customers satisfied through the survey at the end of every customer service call. It's that we are so bent on making sure that our customers are our first priority. That's why it's relevant. It goes back to the mission. I like that about this company, and they're going to work harder, and they're going to understand that what they're doing has purpose and meaning. If you just skim through some of this stuff, some people may not catch the residual flow of information or thought process that you have. And that's where you're going to find yourself with people maybe not getting it or caring enough to do it often. And they'll do it after, you bring it up in a meeting or something like that. So the last one is time bound. Give yourself appropriate time. I've, again, made this mistake many times, thinking, the absolute best in myself. Nothing wrong with that. Giving yourself zero margin for errors, something is wrong with that. You're not going to have a stress-free or a mindful time doing your work, attaining these goals that you're trying to achieve, by giving yourself not enough time or resources to complete them in an appropriate way. You have to understand what your schedule is, and you should stay on track in terms of achieving your ultimate goals. There's a few like templates you can find as well on how to write SMART goals. Some people have like that big box. I've seen that before. I've seen people put it in like Google spreadsheets. Just make sure that it's attainable. Make sure it is, there are some things that just matter, and they just need to be so clear. And putting your original goal, your idea built the way that we talked about, keeps it focused. And then when you input that goal into a SMART goal, that's what keeps it real. That's what makes it real. And we spoke about this as well, right? In making sure that all of your goals, they fall into different categories, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is the primary goal, and there might be other goals that support this goal. This is the primary goal number one. So if goal number one for you is brand awareness, you have to understand every brand has a personality. You might need to look into some social media things that are going to help you with that. You might look with maybe writing a blog, having a strategy that further helps and pushes those ideas forward. That's going to help you. It's not all about me, 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 me. A conversation goes two ways. Keep it conversational. That's what brand awareness looks like. And although brand awareness can be hard to maybe put analytics to, you can review the effectiveness by looking at those quantitative metrics like social engagement or organic traffic or blog traffic or overall website traffic. Okay, this is how you can get like brand awareness goals. And the second one, like we talked about already as well, is generating high quality leads. To generate high quality leads, you got to analyze your trends, that the leads are eventually turned into customers, right? So you got to make sure that those goals and those customer reports, like multi-touch, revenue attribution reports and stuff like that, are all being customized to understand, okay, what's happening to this person when they come through my profile, when they come through my funnel. This is what's going to help you make sure that you're keeping everything in line. And some people, like we talked about as well, they want to grow and maintain thought leadership. That's something myself personally, by doing these live, I try to instill some of the stuff that I'm learning, that I'm reading, the stuff I'm listening to on podcasts, some of the books that I'm reading. Those things, I put them through my lens. I drop them in here, and I try to help people, and people may come to me and ask me questions. This helps me in my business because it helps the overall awareness, but I'm doing it through thought leadership. This is what gets me invited to speak at things, or gets me invited to be a guest on somebody else's podcast. You never know what happens, but that's one of my own personal goals, and it also helps benefit my business as well. Consistency becomes essential at maintaining thought leadership, publishing and sharing content consistently. Man, that's tough and it's so hard. But this is where, if this is the overall goal idea that you're thinking of, hey, I want to increase my reach, my sustainability in my thought leadership, my consistency. This is where you start to write maybe a goal for this. Okay, this is the goal. So, what is my intent? I want to be invited to speak at 3 conferences this year. And then what's the hunger? Uh, I like speaking, and I want to build my own personal brand, and also elevate the company brand. Okay, that's the hunger. What's the aspirational anchor? Um, by speaking at 3 conferences in the next 12 months, I can elevate how people view me, and help the business grow and grow further. Okay, that's a very poorly constructed one, but it is one. It's an aspirational anchor. That helps the whole idea of the BART.com, BartAnderson.com mission alignment. But for like creative partner, is a better, like a secondhand benefit from that. But that's how you go about building some of these goals. Look through, what is it exactly that I'm looking for, and then break it down very specifically. Very specifically. I want 3, and then you can go through the whole thing. Okay, here is my SMART goal about how I'm going to get 3 speaking engagements. The fourth bucket of all the different goals is to increase customer value. And whether it's weekly newsletter or telling customers reviews of products that they might want to talk about, this is how you increase the value for customers. um, you want to measure all your up targeting, all your upsells, your retentions, your retargeting, and evaluate whether you're increasing customer value and loyalty over time. Is this something that you want? Right? These are the major marketing buckets that people are often looking for. And then lastly, is to empower your colleagues. A lot of people, sometimes the goal is to get people to perform better. And the biggest thing I can say to this, because we've had to go through this as well, is, do your team members, your colleagues who work with you, understand your brand's target personas, and what those uh, personas, those avatars need every stage of your sales funnel. The clearer you get that, the easier it is going to be for them to understand what they should be doing, instead of just looking at tasks they should be doing. Let them understand the purpose and why this serves the customer. That's what's going to help them the most. I also wanted to make quick mention of, before, I know we're running out of time. We normally do these for half an hour, and it's the first one of the year, so we're going to be maybe at 2 minutes over. I wanted to make sure that people understand, like, you can't do all 5 of these things all at the same time. What's up, Joanna? I just see you said hi, if you're still watching. You can't do all 5 of these things at the same time. I can't say that I've done all 5 at the same time, but at the same time, I'm like, doing like multiple things at the same time, you're going to stress your team out. take some time and evaluate what's the most important one. And that might be the best way for you to move forward. That might be the best way for people to actually see results, and then for you to be able to encourage your team to keep going, encourage your team to elevate to the next level, and maybe take on a new challenge. There's a few things that people end up missing when they go too hard and change stuff. And you see this all the time. You see this even in your personal life. It's not just I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm also going to drink 60 gallons of water a day. And I'm going to take my multivitamins. And I'm also going to put essential oils in a diffuser. And I'm also going to eat 2 pounds of spinach. Like, well, maybe you should have just said, I'm going to try to go to the gym, every other day, and just keep it simple. And as you build that routine and habit, that's where you can start to add additional things to there. So, mindful marketing, okay? Setting your goals and your intentions for 2022. Take time, write it out, use SMART goals, and then figure out which one of these major 5 buckets does this play into. How does this work? And figure out which is the most important and prioritize them. And you'll see some results. I guarantee it, time and time again. The more you spend time on the intention side, the more you start to see results on the other side, and the performance side. All right, guys, I don't want to take too much time. Peace out, y'all. I'm really excited for us to be doing these again. I'll see you next month. All right.